Welcome back to another episode of the C-Town podcast. This week's guests are Jeff Williams and Jeff Rayner of MyPad3D. Their company does virtual reality walkthroughs and modeling. It's actually very cool stuff. They use their proprietary cutting-edge technology in order to provide virtual reality experiences for anyone out there, any device, any platform. What they're doing is very cool. I've experienced it myself with the virtual reality goggles. It's pretty amazing. You lose yourself in it pretty quickly. It's so realistic. But I won't take up your time trying to explain it to you. I will let them do the talking. So here's this week's interview with the Jeffs. Well, Jeff and Jeff, thank you for joining me today for my podcast. Before we get into kind of the business, side of things, what you guys are doing, I was hoping you could maybe give me a couple minutes backstory each. On yourselves, kind of where did you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? What did you do before owning, your current business? That sort of thing.
Hi, Jeff Rayner. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not a native of West Seattle. I grew up originally in England. I studied in the north of England and in France before coming back to the north of England, then worked in London, then back to France. Then met the love of my life while I was on vacation in Mexico. Moved to the US 14 years ago. We moved to Portland, Oregon. My background is in consulting and startups. This is now my roughly 12th startup that I've been involved in. Some of those have gone really well, some haven't, and I think I've learned as much from each of them. Sure. For hobbies, I'm an avid climber. Mostly indoors, but also outdoors, including my trees, which go up to about 35, 40 feet with my children. I also coach and play soccer for kids and adults. Also heavily active in the PTA for my kids at school.
My name is Jeff Williams, and I am a local boy. Born and raised out in Black Diamond. Went to high school at Bellarmine in Tacoma, and then on to Wazoo, so I am a Coug, go Cougs. After graduating college, I did a couple of odd jobs before I found a true calling, which was real estate, and that was back in 1991. And I've spent the last 25 years in real estate, helping anywhere between land development to new construction to commercial, residential, so pretty much the gamut of real estate. In my spare time, I've just recently learned how to play guitar in the last year and a half, and that's actually been really fun.
Well, now we covered a little bit of you guys background, kind of personally. What maybe you could tell me kind of what you guys do, sum it up in maybe a couple of concise points as far as your business now, MyPad3D.
As far as MyPad3D goes, we are in the business of providing a future glimpse. And what I mean by that is that we have the technology and the ability to take a set of plans, whether it be architecturally engineered or just something from a simple drawing on a napkin, and we can convert that into an environment that will then show what that environment will look like before it's even built.
And if you think about it from another perspective, people today make decisions when they're buying a new house, decorating a new house, doing a remodel, off of an idea. That idea is in their head, or it's on these little tiny swatchboards. And you could be making tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential mistakes. We can help correct that. You tell us everything you're considering doing, every option you've got, whether you're a builder or you're a buyer or anywhere in between, and we can help you visualize exactly what that's going to look like. But not just from a static perspective. In our solution, you can walk around, you can tour, you can click on the floors and see your options immediately change in front of your eyes.
Well, considering kind of some of the VR work that you guys do, what are some of the different areas that this could be applied to with what you guys do?
We initially had a very strong sense of who our client is. Today, I wouldn't say it's watered down, it's got stronger, but it's expanded. It's kind of fascinating. As VR is becoming more and more mainstream, its adoption is increasing very, very rapidly. So initially we had two ideal clients, the buyer of a home or the person who owns the home is doing a remodel, or the builder. What we found straight out the gate was also the contractor can be using the solution to ensure he's on the same page as the builder and the buyer. Then we had architects get involved and say, oh, now I can help really relay my thoughts and my impressions about what this home or this remodel is going to look like, and the end builder could really get on the same page without looking at just some line diagrams or some watercolors, which are beautiful, but they're not real, or they're not real enough. So right from land developers to builders to architects to designers to engineers to contractors to the end buyer, basically that whole life cycle has ended up becoming our customer. And the great thing is everybody benefits from it.
So you guys are co-partners in this business now, right? So when the business was getting off the ground, what was some of the biggest challenges when you first started the business?
Well, this is something that I've been working on for quite a while. But prior to having the opportunity of meeting Jeff Rayner and really taking this to where it's at now, I had spent 3 other tour of duties with other individuals that had the necessary skills to help me take it there, but for one reason or another that it just never got off the ground. We got to a certain point and then things would fall apart.
So in a nutshell, you'd say that the greatest challenge when you first started the business was kind of acquiring the right team to be able to get your ideas off the ground.
Oh, this was all started back in the credit crunch. That at that point in time, being a realtor, that we had 7-8 plats going on. There was 12-13 other realtors that we were all working together. But when the credit crunch hit, the builders came to us as their marketing advisors to figure out a way how they could capture and retain more clients. But unbeknownst to them, that the credit crunch was really going to wipe out the real estate market here in America. So at that point in time, we were trying to figure out, okay, how is it that we can get more sales? And one thing that I was taught, not only by my father, but my grandfather, that the longer you can capture somebody's attention, the greater opportunity you have. Whether you're trying to sell them a pair of shoes, a TV, or ask the pretty girl to dance. And having grown up in the age of video gaming and having had an Atari back in 1976 when they first came out, I felt that with where technology was today and immersiveness and engagement that a video game creates for the user, that there had to be a way with which we could merge the two together and do it within real estate. And so that's how the thought process and idea came about, with which to, in essence, turn floor plans into an immersive, engaging environment. VR is going to penetrate the marketplace in such a fashion that it's not just for gaming. It is for anything that you want to see. That building of a house, that you may have a set of blueprints and plans and everything like that. But we take all that and we then create what that specific environment is, so that way you can then visualize it and see it without any ambiguity.
There's you'll see or hear, there's a stream of thought for everything that we do. Essentially, Jeff and I, we joke and call ourselves the yin and the yang. We have very different lifestyles, we have very different backgrounds, very different educations, but we kind of got drawn together. And even today, we are two sides of the same coin, right? We have exactly the same mission. We have different approaches on occasion. And in fact, when Jeff was doing his approach, which in my opinion was very advanced for its day, I was trying to do a similar version using Flash. Everyone remembers what Flash was, right? And using photo and photo editing with Photoshop to show some of these different ideas. Completely rudimentary. The technology was the biggest problem. It would, be buggy and problematic. Jeff figured out, do a similar idea but put it into a game engine. It was brilliant. The problem was the technology wasn't of high enough quality to show some really good renders, right? The good graphics. So it took a while for that to catch up to Jeff's forethought on exactly what it was going to be like.
Yeah, it took technology a few years to catch up to what I had envisioned, which was a virtual reality that was photorealistic, that could be altered in a real-time environment, so that way you could see exactly what those choices were going to be reflected upon in that environment.
So what would you say, considering where you guys are right now, what the greatest challenges that you face in your businesses?
I think one of the biggest challenges right now that we're facing is finding the early adopters, that those people that truly do envision and see what the future is and are not afraid to take that step and implement this type of technology for their business. And again, there's a lot more to VR than just gaming or just construction. That in fact, we're currently working on a project right now for the medical field, with which to help those people with phobias to treat the phobia through the use of VR.
To add on a little bit to that as well, when you look at what the challenges are, we see those challenges as a plus. So for example, one challenge today is to work on most VR solutions, you need a ridiculously high-end machine. With that machine comes a very big price tag, and it requires the very latest technology. Those things mean that your potential buyer is really small slither of the population. So what we said is, well, we want to go after that market, right? That is a very good demographic for us to give some very high-end results. But what can we do for the other 99.9% of people out there? So again, this is one of our differentiators too, is that challenge we turned into an opportunity. And we've said, let's make something that's compatible with everybody's device, no matter what device you have, whether it's a computer, a laptop, whether it is an iPad, an iPhone, an Android phone, whether that is a VR headset or even a Google Cardboard. Our solutions are compatible with all of those.
And that's where our proprietary value comes into play, is the fact that we've been able to take files and literally reduce them in half, if not more. Prime example is that we were given a Revit file from one of the leading commercial builders here in Seattle, and it was a 2 gigabyte file. And then we took the file, added our bells and whistles to it, and literally reduced it by half.
So a Revit file is just like an AutoCAD file, right? It's essentially a three-dimensional representation of AutoCAD. So we took that file, we added textures to every material in this environment. We added what we call a skybox, which is essentially, if you look out of the window, what view do you see? So they did that on a complete 360 environment. We added the ability to move around, and also what we call a fly cam, a drone kind of mode to fly around. So we added all of that and a few more extras, and we reduced the file size dramatically and made it compatible with everybody's machine.
Very cool. What do you guys love most about your business, about MyPad3D?
I would say two things probably. One, this stuff that we're doing is cutting edge. When we find a problem, we try and look it up online, because there's this great open source community now for this stuff. And very often we might be the first people to find this problem with the softwares that we're using. But that is challenging, but it's also fun. When we realize we are leading on the top of this wave about how the future is going to go, and we're pushing the boundaries, that's kind of fun. And that's the second part, is the fun aspect, right? Everything we do is fun. When we give this to a client and you see their reaction,
it's something that they can truly visualize.
Yeah.
Right now, what I love most about my business is my business partner and the people that are working with us right now.
What would you guys say your greatest strength is individually?
I'll answer it with what I call the AAA approach. All right. So that is awareness, agility, and adaptability. And that's not just for me. I mean, I think Jeff and I both try and instill our own values in the company too. And we work together on everything we do. But by those, we always have to be aware of what we're doing, what the client needs are, and how we can most efficiently meet those needs. By agility, I mean, sometimes we might have a month to do a project. Sometimes we need to put that 1 month project into 3 days. And we've been able to do that. And the way that works is from careful teamwork, everybody focusing on really what the priorities are. And the last one there was adaptability. And we see this time and time again. We will hit a hurdle because we're trying to push the boundaries of the technology. We want it to do something it can't do. So we either just kind of keep spinning our wheels or we figure out a workaround. And we are constantly doing that. And through doing that, we're coming out with new ways. We're becoming very adaptive to ensure that we're leading this.
What is one habit that you wish you had?
You know, our key strength is our adaptability. So if we do find an issue, it's particularly with our two sides of the same coin, right? We'll be honest with each other and figure out a new approach.
A habit? I don't know. I'd like to exercise more. I'd like to lose some weight. But everybody wants to do that. I want to be prettier. Everybody wants to be prettier, but hey, I'm stuck with this Chris Farley look-alike lifestyle, and I'm fine with it. It's working for me.
What would you say that you're passionate about? What makes you guys tick?
I am passionate about success. And what does success mean to me? Well, having spent 25 years in real estate, success means seeing a happy client or customer. That is what success is to me. And that's what I'm passionate about. That if I can bring something forward that will allow somebody to see something or view something or understand something in a different fashion than what they're accustomed to, then I feel that I've been successful. And I like baseball cards.
And I mean, I think Jeff hit the nail on the head there, right? When we can see our clients and make a difference in our clients' lives, right? That is a true measure of success. Prime easy example, when somebody puts on our headset and they sit down on a couch that doesn't exist, that means that we're changing their life, right? We have put them in a new world that they think is real. There is no, this is just some computer simulation. They believe what they're seeing. And when we strive for that, and when we see our clients confuse the real world with our world, I think that's success.
That's success.
Yeah, and I think you guys are definitely doing that. I mean, let me try on the headset and walk around one of your virtual worlds. I mean, it's only matter of minutes before you kind of forget that you're not in the real world. I mean, it's so realistic. It's pretty crazy. So kind of getting into the next section, I'd like to maybe dig a little deeper, hear a little bit more about your story. I know you guys have had ups and downs in this business and prior ones. Maybe you could take me to a point in time where you had maybe like your worst entrepreneurial moment.
I could easily tell you what that one is. Having been in multiple startups, I think the key problem I've identified and got scared of in the past is something that now we capitalize upon, and that is several of the companies I worked at in the past, we thought we were being new and breakthrough, and then somebody else comes out with something similar, right? And all of a sudden, now not only are we doing something somebody else is doing, they've got more money, they get further ahead, and so we say, what's the point? Looking back on it, you look around it here and you see there's more than one burger joint. Competition is actually a good thing. That means there is a market need for it. So whenever we see a competitive client pop up, we don't run away scared.
We embrace it.
We do. We figure out what are they doing, what's working for them, how can we leverage some of that knowledge and improve what we're doing.
I never really thought about it that way. I mean, you're essentially, saying that if it sounds like you're saying, if you're succeeding only because you're the only burger joint in town, you may not be able to stand up when someone else shows up, but if you can stand on your own when there's lots of competition, that's totally different.
And in fact, we've started reaching out to our competitors because this market is so big. There is enough space for all the competitors today and 10 more, 10 times more, in fact, right? This this market is set to be huge, and it should be. I completely believe it will be. So we can even figure out between us, okay, where exactly are you playing? Where are we playing? We don't have to steal each other's ideas, but we might be able to, co-opetition is often a good thing.
So now maybe take me to a time, where you kind of said, wow, I'm really making a difference. I'm really nailing it here. What would a moment like that be for you guys?
As Jeff alluded to earlier, I think one of our favorite moments, which is now a couple of moments where we've made our clients cry. We've had 2 clients that have, and they've on record saying,
let's clarify that. Those are happy tears.
They are happy tears, yeah. When
Stub their toe.
typically our clients call us because they are trying to visualize what someone else is telling them or someone else is showing them, but they just can't get it in their head. And these are multi-$1,000 things they're trying to see. In fact, the first crying client we had, as it were, was a lady who was building her dream home, and her architect had built up some amazing plans. They were beautiful, but she just couldn't envision being inside of it. From looking at some line diagrams, didn't do it. So then the architect took the diagrams, the drawings, and he added some watercolor to it too. Beautiful, but she still couldn't see it. The first time we showed it to her on the computer and on the laptop, she had to take a moment because she was just lost for words. She really felt like she was inside her new home. And when that happens, man, it makes us almost cry too. Right? It's such a beautiful moment when we see we can cross that boundary that doesn't typically exist in their lives.
I kind of like to refer to it as the moment of empowerment, and that's the moment that the customer or the client feels empowered with regards to what their project actually is. And that's exactly what happened for this particular client, is that she was then provided with enough information, enough visuals, to whereas she felt empowered then at that point. And I think more than anything else, that was a great relief for her to then be able to have the opportunity to then change those things that she wanted changed. They in fact redesigned the open beam truss ceiling to her liking. They literally moved the home 150 feet from its designated spot and twisted it by 20 degrees to allow for a better viewing of the Mount Baker view that they had from this home site. So I think that was her aha moment when she was able to use our software and look at it, because again, like I said, there were some structural changes that were made to this project prior to it being built that had this technology not been used, she would have been stuck with it. Because things like that, you just don't go back in and retrofit.
Yeah, I'd imagine in those moments, with your clients, that you really kind of realize, hey, I'm on the right track here, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, well, that's what gives us the warm fuzzy, is making sure that our clients are happy with what it is that we're providing them. And every single one of them that we've worked with have been extremely grateful for what we've done for them.
So as we're kind of getting close to the end of the interview here, I just want to kind of do a quick lightning round, just some kind of quick questions, quick responses. In the past, what was holding you back from becoming the entrepreneur that you are today?
Probably for this particular solution, it was the tech, and it's worth looking at, one of those experiences that you walk away from here. People often say, well, VR's been around forever, right? 20, 30 years. What's the difference now? The difference is the tech. The difference is we have phones today that are more powerful than our computers were 7 years ago. It's crazy. So what's the next 7 years going to be looking like?
Surrounding myself with the right people. That's one of the biggest hurdles out there. And I think for most startups, that you need to make sure that you've got the right people doing the right things. And that was one thing that both Jeff and I agreed upon when we took on this endeavor and agreed to work with each other, was that we were going to bring people on and allow them to do what they do best. That I didn't need a graphic guy doing programming, I didn't need a programmer doing graphics, and I didn't need a marketing person trying to do sales. We have found that with everybody that works with us, that with that mindset that they are much more productive, they are much more engaged, and they're much more enthusiastic about working on these projects because they get to do what they do best.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
I would say, echoing what Jeff's been saying there, get the right team. You don't have the right team, doesn't matter how good your product is. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have the right team, your company's falling over. It's going nowhere. You get the right team, the money doesn't matter. We know that well, right? We can get by on a shoestring budget. Sure. We can get by on, some ideas. If we got the right team, we collaborate, we work well, we produce.
Is there a personal habit that you have that you believe contributes to your success?
For me, it's tenacity. That I've been extremely tenacious with regards to this whole project from the very beginning. And yes, there have been several times over the last 8-9 years that I could have dropped the ball. I could have just quit doing it. I could have gone back to doing real estate full time. But in knowing that those people that truly succeed are the ones that stick with it.
Have fun, right? Whatever there is, there are always problems. Sure. You can either dwell on the problems or find a fun way to resolve it. And that is definitely a mantra that we have. If there's a problem, don't look at it as a problem, look at a solution that makes it fun as a workaround.
Sure. And that's what we try to instill with everybody that is working with us is, hey, don't sweat it. We will always figure a workaround around it, but keep it fun.
So obviously, you guys, being in the field you are, have your proprietary software you use, and probably specific industry things, 3D graphic renderings and certain CAD files and that sort of thing. But do you guys have any like a specific internet resource or application that's not specific to your industry that you guys use regularly and wouldn't be able to live without in your business?
At the minute, it's Trello.
Trello, that's it. Trello board.
We use that to communicate, to store ideas, to track our projects. We live and die by Trello every day.
It's a great platform. Our employees don't come into the office all the time. And because of this board and this platform, Trello, that we can still coordinate and we can still make time frames and deadlines and everything like that. So yeah, Trello is a kudos for Trello.
Okay. And so Trello is kind of like Asana or something like that, where it's like a collaborative project management web-based.
A visual-based version of Asana.
Yep.
So essentially think of it like whiteboards and post-it notes in a digital form.
And if you could recommend just one book to our listeners, what would it be?
I would say the value-driven approach to sell real estate.
Oh, you're too kind. I don't think you've read it yet, though.
Now, apart from that, there's one book which is called How to Wow by Francis Cole Jones. It's a great book for presenting, for writing, for everything that you want to be able to do in this world that typically you might have inhibitions about. It's how do you take those weaknesses and turn them into strengths.
The one book that I would recommend, and this was given to me back in 2004, that I had a personal moment that kind of caught me off guard. But once I returned back home, I was given this book, and it's a book called The 12 Pillars by Chris Widener. Now, it's not so much a step-by-step book or anything like that. It had more to deal with life and the ups and downs that go along with it, and it gave me some really good insights as to the questions how and why. How is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? How do I change it? How do I keep it going? So no, if there was one book that I were to hand out to anybody to read, it would be the 12 Pillars by Chris Widener.
Okay. Do you guys have any favorite quotes? Or a favorite quote?
We have a lot of favorite quotes.
Okay.
Jeff and I both love our quotes.
All from movies?
Jeff particularly loves quotes, loves analogies. He could make up his own quotes and his own analogies, I think. To attempt that answer with one, there's one quote that actually we both will use a lot. And so I'll stick with that for now, which is you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. And I think it's so easy to procrastinate, right? But what we're really saying there is, if you want to get something done, just start doing it. Don't just sit around wondering what happened. Just get out there and do it.
So what's the best way to connect with you guys if someone's interested in learning more about your VR product and platform?
Well, the quickest and easiest way is to go to MyPad3D, MyPad, the number 3, D.com. That will get you to our platform, and then from there, you can take a look at all the solutions that we have available. You can there also take a look at the clients that we've worked with and their solutions, and so you can get a better understanding of what we've created for them.
Okay, great. Well, Jeff, I appreciate your time today and telling us a little bit more about MyPad3D and about yourselves and about your business. So, wish you the best of luck.
Thanks. Go Hawks.
Thanks, Christian.
And that's it for this week's episode of the C-Town Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or on Google Play. It'd also help me out if you could leave me a review and some stars. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, you can email me at christianharris@ctown.com. That's c-town.com. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.